Chapter 2. Today's Successful Millionaire. You have to make the shift from being a consumer in the economy to becoming an owner, and you do it by becoming an investor. Tony Robbins. From $7 to $250 million plus apartment portfolio. I was first introduced to Vinny Chapora in fall of 2018 at a multifamily investor conference in Orlando, Florida. Professional conferences are an excellent opportunity to gain and share new ideas, learn about the latest industry innovations and trends, and provide an opportunity to build network with other like-minded individuals. This was my first multifamily conference, and hundreds of people attended the event. There were 2 full days of guest speakers, and Vinny sat on an expert panel, giving insight on the future of the multifamily industry. He vividly discussed his humble journey of immigrating to the United States almost 30 years ago with basically no money to having a 9-figure real estate portfolio comprised of thousands of apartment units across the United States. I was intrigued by his story. I reached out to Vinny to learn more about him and how he achieved his success in real estate. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to sit down with him for 30 minutes and learn more about his story. He grew up with 6 siblings in a 1-bedroom apartment, never having a television, telephone, refrigerator, or a car, just a single bicycle. However, he was smart and resilient. He completed his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering after receiving a merit scholarship to go to college since he was in the top 3% of his graduating class. I learned in India the government finds the top students and pays for their education, including tuition allowance every month, along with books. He received his big break when he received the opportunity to continue his education in the United States. In December of 1975, at the age of 22, he moved to Maryland with his uncle and aunt with only $7 to his name. Luckily, in his culture, they do not charge one another for housing or food, which helped him tremendously. After my first semester, a friend asked me if I would like to sell books. This opportunity changed my life. I started knocking on doors, working 8 hours a week. We would start working at 8 a.m., with my friend dropping me off until 9:30 p.m., when he returned to pick me up every day for 6 days a week. My dad already instilled in me the value of hard work, but selling books taught me how to take rejection with having doors slammed in my face. It taught me perseverance, confidence, and the power of working hard. As a real estate investor, you will have your share of adversity you will have to overcome. Whether it's making 600 phone calls before finding someone interested in selling a discounted property or finding termite damage when you tear down a wall during renovation, real estate investing is all about meeting challenges head-on and persevering. Becoming successful takes effort and work. If it were easy, everyone would be successful in life. Hard work is part of the equation for accomplishing anything that matters in life, whether it's investing in real estate or accomplishing a military mission. As a young captain in Afghanistan, I can remember leading a team of intelligence professionals working 12 or more hours a day for 6 months straight. It's what the moment called for, and our team was up to the task of supporting those units outside the wire, engaging the enemy, and putting their lives on the line day in and day out. If we didn't bring our A game on a daily basis, lives could be unnecessarily put in danger. Unfortunately, in life, people fail to realize the sacrifices required to accomplish goals. After obtaining his master's from Georgetown University, Vinny relocated to San Francisco and started working as a promotional consultant, where he started his journey as a public speaker. He grew to become a major stockholder in the company until his retirement in 2015, after serving over 37 years. Along the way, Vinny found a passion for real estate after encouragement from his friends after he moved to California. They started buying in Texas, Georgia, and Reno, Nevada. After investing off and on for many years in 2005, he obtained his broker's license and pivoted to commercial real estate. After selling all their single-family rentals and moving full force into multifamily, Vinny has been a critical principal in acquiring over 4,500 apartment units across 34 syndications in the last 10 plus years. I have raised over $147 million so far. Now, I can raise $6 to $10 million in only 2 to 3 days because our investor network has gone from none 12 years ago to nearly 400 investors. My investors have given me millions of dollars because I have doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled their money. Success breeds success. In multifamily, we call it the law of the first deal. After getting over the hump of closing on your first deal, most investors build momentum and secure their next property, thus providing an opportunity for new investor partnerships in a short amount of time. There's not a more humbling feeling than having someone invest their hard-earned money in a real estate project led by you. It's one thing to invest your money in your own deal, but the stakes become that much higher when you bring in investor partners. Our first investor was a relative we were very close to, who was aware of the deals we were doing before we started sharing more on social media. For any active investor who has been around long enough, you learn that you can only go so far using your personal capital. Leveraging joint partnerships and bringing on limited partners allow like-minded investors to grow and diversify their portfolios while assisting you in growing yours at the same time. As I wrapped up my conversation with Vinny, he went on to share more about what's possible when you put your investors first. He shared how one of his very first investors from over 12 years back still invests with him and has invested $3.8 million to date. Since the initial investment, the same individuals has told multiple family members and in-laws about his experience to the point now this single investor has been responsible for close to $28 million invested with Vinny from a single referral. Taking care of investors is his number one motto and ethos every investor should live by. Vinny's story was inspiring and unique, as you will see in the other stories shared in this chapter and the rest of the book. You can pick up certain habits and traits that will significantly increase your ability to be successful at whatever you set your mind to. Success is a mindset, and as I mentioned in the introduction, success is achieved through a plan that is 80% psychological and 20% skills. My millionaire real estate investor journey. In 2017, Fidelity performed a survey of investors with a net worth of over $1 million. From Fidelity's research, they found that 88% of millionaires are self-made. The benchmark for most individuals is to achieve a net worth of $1 million. For anyone who may not know, your net worth is simply the value of your assets minus your liabilities. I can remember when I first started working and setting the same $1 million goal. You hear the stories of successful people who were millionaires, but I never really knew how they got there. In my case, I didn't know one single millionaire and had no clue how to build wealth. I had no strategy and almost $30,000 in debt as soon as I started my first job, and nothing but uninformed assumptions when it came to achieving wealth. I became fascinated with real estate after realizing I could buy a house, rent it out, and have someone pay my mortgage and still have money left over every month to put in my pocket. On top of that, I love that it helped reduce my tax burden, and eventually it would appreciate in value over time. I joined my local real estate investor association, 15 miles north of my house in Macon, Georgia. I also latched on to a family friend, Alfred Grooms, who lived in Atlanta and owned his own financial consulting firm. He taught me how stocks work and how to evaluate business and how money works. Most don't know, but I was extremely close to leaving the Air Force after my original 4-year commit. We all know 2006 and 2007 were great, but after the recession fully hit in 2008, the entire economic landscape changed. Plus, I was offered my number one job choice for my next assignment, making it a relatively easy decision to stay. My second home acquisition happened in January 2011. Soon after Melissa and I were married, I relocated to Newport News, Virginia, for my next Air Force assignment. We found a HUD foreclosure in great shape and located in Great Gulf Community. We purchased the house for $208,000 using my VA loan, again with no money down. We would rent the place out upon leaving for our next duty station, bringing in an extra $500 a month of cash flow. In July 2013, we were relocated to Northern Virginia, where we purchased another HUD foreclosure. I knew from the last house that I had enough VA entitlement since I was moving into a more expensive area where the purchase limit was increased. VA loan entitlement is the dollar amount the Department of Veterans Affairs will guarantee on each VA home loan and helps determine how much a veteran can borrow before needing a down payment. VA loan entitlement is typically either $36,000 or 25% of the loan amount up to the conforming loan limit. I found the house on the HUD website, and our retailer went the same day and shot a video and showed us the inside. We put a full price offer at $280,000 and it was accepted. I saw it sold in 2007 for $390,000 and it didn't need any repairs, so it was a no-brainer. During this assignment, our real estate investing business took off. In 2014, we bought our first rental property on Ave K in Birmingham, Alabama, sight unseen for $25,000 with monthly rental at $750. Next, we purchased another foreclosure at an online auction on 2nd Avenue in Birmingham for $6,700, sight unseen. The renovation cost us about $16,000, and we rented it out for $800 a month. We kept both of those through early 2015 until we sold them to fund our first flip project in Alexandria, Virginia. We learned an enormous amount about construction and remodeling on that project. To this day, our first flip was by far our most expensive and intense. After it sold, we moved our operation virtual and started flipping houses in Birmingham, Alabama, due to the lower purchase prices, cost of materials, and labor. We went on to complete 4 more projects over the next 2 years. I would get a property under contract and then make the 10-hour drive down to Birmingham and get contractor bids to set our execution plan and set up for success. At this point, I was extremely committed to the process and making it happen. I learned about projecting cash flows and carrying costs quickly after taking on the 2 projects simultaneously. One of our Birmingham projects we held for 9 months through a winter real estate cycle with a $60,000 repair budget and $2,200 monthly interest-only payments. It almost broke us, but it didn't. It helped us find our niche, buying homes more affordable to middle-class buyers and with low carrying costs. My next assignment took our real estate journey to the next level. We relocated to Panama City, Florida in July 2017 and purchased another HUD foreclosure for $198,000. We spent about $25,000 to remodel it. A year later, it would appraise for $320,000. During that 1-year time frame, I was hit with a 6-month deployment overseas from March to September 2018. This prevented us from moving forward with any flip projects for over a year. However, I was still able to market and wholesale some deals before I left home. 3 weeks before leaving, we found out Melissa was pregnant with our third child. 3 weeks after returning home from that deployment, the Panama City area was devastated by a Category 5 storm, Hurricane Michael, which displaced our family for 6 months. However, the adversity we faced wasn't a setback, but a setup. Overnight, there became tens of thousands of dilapidated homes. We put a crew together that is still with us today, and in 2019, we completed a total of 9 projects. In 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, we completed 4 projects, including purchasing our first apartment building, an 18-unit property. We relocated back to Northern Virginia in November 2020 and bought another foreclosure with a VA loan. We still have our renovation business in Panama City and are on track to complete over a dozen projects for 2021. My real estate investing has been part-time while I was still working full-time, active duty, and kicking ass. By 2021, our real estate portfolio has eclipsed $5 million with over $1.5 million in equity. Millionaires are disciplined and willing to put in the work. As mentioned earlier, 88% are first-generation millionaires. Over the last 2 centuries, 90% of the world's millionaires have been created by investing in real estate. Some will tell you the only way you can become a millionaire is to stop buying $5 Starbucks coffee, not to go to restaurants for dinner, and save as much as you can to invest in the stock market with your IRA, 401k. I don't believe you would be reading this book if you wanted to sign up for that school of thought. You must have an abundance mindset and focus on creating more income so you can afford to buy a $5 cup of coffee or buy anything else that makes you and your family happy. Real estate allows you to build a portfolio that produces passive cash flow that affords you the freedom to eventually not have to trade your time for money and allows your investments to pay for your lifestyle. It's not going to happen overnight, but I always say, pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. How to lose $50 million and still bounce back. I had the pleasure of sitting down one-on-one with another successful real estate investor, Mr. Rod Khalif. Rod is an entrepreneur, real estate investor, and serial business owner who is passionate about business, life, success, and giving back. Rod has personally owned and managed over 2,000 properties during his investing career. Rod is a no-nonsense guy who is extremely passionate about assisting others on their journey as real estate investors. This became apparent as soon as our 30-minute meeting started, and he began to share his thoughts and philosophy on finding success in life. Rod started off reflecting on his childhood and immigrating to the United States. When I was 6, my mother, brother, and I immigrated from Holland. She moved us to Denver, and we lived quite poor. Mom was a live-in housemaid for a man and babysat on the side, but she bought the house across the street with babysitting money. Fortunately, his mom made a $20,000 profit selling their home in only 3 years. Seeing how this transaction played out inspired him to go into real estate at the young age of 18. Over the next 20 years, he would amass a $50 million real estate fortune. 800 homes, multiple apartment complexes, and a beautiful beachfront mansion. Rod took a break and found a few pictures of his luxurious beachfront mansion to share with me as he reflected on that time in his life. Rod continued and reflected on his childhood. Immigrating was hard for me. I didn't speak English, and my mom, being the proud Dutch woman that she is, would send me to school in leather shorts and wooden shoes from Holland. It goes without saying, that I'd get beat up a lot, and when bullies chased me home from school, my mother chased them off with a fly swatter, so I'd get beat up and ridiculed the next day all over again. So, my whole adult life, I'd done everything to prove to the world that I'm good enough. I'd been totally focused on myself. A lot of people have a self-centered mindset when it comes to building wealth. However, most wealthy people are active philanthropists and dedicated large amounts of their time and money to passionate causes. Rod created a foundation called Tiny Hands, fed 75,000 children for the holidays, and gave tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. I lost everything in the market crash in 2008, $50 million in real estate. I lost the beachfront mansion, my Mercedes, all the stuff that ultimately doesn't matter, but that is quite painful to lose. I'd make the mistake of buying single-family homes to hold long-term and cross-collateralize them with my multifamily properties. But the single-family homes pulled my entire portfolio down. But the opportunity in the crisis was a key lesson learned. Shortly after, he started his own podcast and began sharing those lessons learned thus far on his journey. He did hundreds of episodes, eventually hit 1 million downloads, and expanded it into a purpose-driven multi-million-dollar enterprise helping others succeed in real estate. We continued to speak in greater detail on what he felt led to his overall success and some of the traits of other millionaires he engages with. Many of these traits and principles are covered in greater detail later in the book. The first step is defining your goals and vision for what you want from your life. In the classic Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill wrote about finding your burning desire, so when you are faced with adversity or get knocked down, you have exactly what you need to get up and bounce back. The second step is to make a decision or a commitment to what you want. The Latin root word for decide is cut off. At this point, you are no longer just interested. Now, you are committed to doing whatever it takes to achieve your goals. Eric Thomas says, "You have to want it as bad as you want to breathe." Rod told me, "Motivation will get you started. Commitment will bring you home. The third step comes down to faith. You must believe good is going to happen to you. You can't get caught up in the negative, whether it's in the latest news topic, online gossip blogs, or other people in your life. Lastly, you must stay laser focused on your goals in life." Rod shared an example in his life when his efforts weren't streamlined and focused. "I remember when I used to have so many businesses going at the same time. 2 frozen yogurt shops, a few vending cards selling ice cream bars, a card printing business, and I was doing real estate. Everything suffered because my focus was diluted. I got rid of everything except for the real estate, and I bought 500 houses in that run." Today, Rod continues to build successful businesses and add value to people's lives. As one of the nation's top real estate trainers, he has personally owned and managed over 2,000 properties. He still hosts his Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast, which has been downloaded over 10 million times. Also, he still directs his Tiny Hands Foundation, which has helped more than 100,000 community kids and families in need. Implementation. Right now, as you are reading this page, you have everything you need to achieve success in real estate investing and become a millionaire. However, it requires you to commit to the process and put aside any doubts and limiting beliefs. We all have naysayers and people who don't believe in us or our dreams, whether they are malicious or just trying to save us from failure. I'm here to tell you that you will fail at some point along the way, but it's all about how you decide to use the failure. Will you view it as a negative moment and not take away any substance or life lessons from it? Or will you view it as a seminar giving you the necessary knowledge to grow you into the savvy investor you aspire to be? You can't have a testimony without first going through the test. As you aim to move forward on your millionaire journey, you will need to understand where you have come from and where you are headed. I shared my story of how I built my $1 million portfolio over a 15-year span. What has been your number one limiting belief holding you back from doing more as a real estate investor? It is imperative to immediately start focusing on changes you can make today. What has been the largest hurdle you have overcome on your real estate investing journey? Was it tough to move past it? I shared the motivating story of how Vinny came to the U.S. with only $7 before embarking on a journey to build a 9-figure multifamily portfolio. Furthermore, I discuss how Rod bounced back from losing $50 million to gain it all back while building an education company and charity along the way. Over the course of the next week, I encourage you to make a list of all your assets and liabilities so you can calculate your net worth and assets where you are today. Just remember, if those other investors and I can do it, you certainly can too.